All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
This is different. We shifted all the tables this way. Is that cold? That's cold.
It does.
So let's see.
For sure.
Number 8. Who's number 8? Yes. It is. What do we have for you, Zora? What's in there? You tell me.
It's $1 million.
We got to do it like this. $1 million.
Lord, make it rain.
Oh, I like these folders. I need them.
Yep.
Perfect timing.
Very nice. Thank you. I really need them now. I'm getting some listings.
All right. First of all, I want to introduce Adam Sanchez. He is with D.R. Horton. He provided our breakfast this morning. So what's going on? Yeah. Here's David. He even said it. So builders need us now. So we might start seeing more builders in here.
So Andrew, but that's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Adam. It's his first day. Mark is changing. So, yeah, like I was saying, Mark is changing. We're calling you guys, trying to
Emailing
you
us like
guys,
crazy.
kiss butt, all that stuff. So yeah.
Filling up my inbox.
But for the record, we still, I'm not gonna say any names, but we work brokerages that stop paying. We at least still pay.
Nice.
We try to do most of the work on our end anyways. You can kind of drop the price with us, and we'll let you know when your check's ready. But I'll tell you this, okay? We opened up a new community down the street in Pahrump, really close.
Down the street.
And I got 3 homes. I got 3 houses scheduled for September. If you sell one of those, you get a 5% co-op.
Wow.
Okay? I'm gonna hand these out. Let's speak it. So 5% co-op for the Pahrump ones. And in case you got anyone beat up by interest rates, with our in-house lending, 4.99% conventional, 4.75 VA, FHA, $10,000 towards closing costs. Don't tell them I told you, but maybe a little more if you negotiate. We're actually open to negotiations now. Remember those days?
So you're not doing a bidding process no more?
No more bids.
Our lot premium's gone now.
Well, because the way we do it, we just give you the price.
That- I
Lot
like
premium
that.
included.
That's big.
But maybe we
How
can,
much is it?
oh, the Riverstone?
Yeah.
So my Pahrump ones, I have them 1,500 square feet, 373. I have 1,611 square feet, 380 or 382. So we got single story. Yep.
I was just gonna tell you, I know Leslie Forsythe from,
Yeah,
and
she's-
she's awesome, you guys, who does loans there, and she's amazing. I just
Also not gonna
wanted,
say any names of other
I
builders.
just wanted to say that she's wonderful. I used to work with her and she's great.
Exactly.
FYI.
Our loan officers actually
Yeah.
do the job, and they
She's
do it
great.
really good.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, if you're looking at Pahrump, what I tell everyone, hey, you know, Vegas is getting expensive. You don't want to spend $400,000 for a townhouse. Rents are going up. So it's a single story, 3-car garage, 10,000 square foot lot with RV hookups, guys, under $400K. I don't have a 4-bedroom for sale right now. I might get one maybe, hopefully soon for like an October close. But if you push one of these, 5% co-op, okay, and
This is a Bronx?
Pahrump. I'll give everyone the flyer. I'll walk around. And we have Home of the Brave. So if you have military, first responders, firefighters, nurses, medical, licensed teachers, extra 1,500. So we're at the point where you can get those closing costs probably covered, you know. And let's see if there's anything
You have
else.
1 story?
Riverstone, yeah. We have one stories in town too. You wanna?
No, I'm saying in that.
Yeah, Pahrump.
I was sorry, I was answering a text probably when you said that. Yeah, that would be great.
I mean, you weren't paying attention.
She's working real hard, Mark.
Hey, I was texting my line for you.
That's how.
I said 5%, that's all I heard.
That's how I know she's working.
Already on
Okay,
that.
whatever, 5%. But yeah, right now is a great time. KB Homes, they're dropping like crazy. But the thing when you buy with those guys, because we pick everything in advance for the most part. We have a few communities that are not express and you can pick stuff. I bought with Tri-Point, I had to be all bougie, right? And I got my house in December, 2 months before I got the keys. Hey, that course you picked, sorry, we can't get it. But here's the two you can pick from. They're dropping their prices. You're still waiting 9 months for that house in KB unless it's standing inventory. Just careful with that. And you might have a longer delay than that. My competition on the golf course, 55 plus in Pahrump, someone got delayed a whole year. They got their keys in March. So be wary, they're dropping their prices. You can see that, I'll walk you on site, okay? You say, I wanna see it. And you can see, oh, it's already drywalled inside. So just by that, it should be maybe 2 months left. We're actually the only game in town, I guess, Lennar, but they're excommunicated, you know, because they stopped doing it. So we're literally
They
only.
need us now too.
Realistically, we're the only game in town to get you a house in 3 months.
Nice.
With minimal delays. There can be delays, you never know. But, we'll lock your rate in too. You're not gonna be stuck waiting 12 months for your house and all that. So I think that's all I got to say, guys. Hopefully we'll do business. I'll hand this out.
Thank you, Andrew, Adam. Right.
I have questions, excuse me. For the
Yeah,
guy.
talk
We
to
have a
me.
question.
Yeah.
Everyone,
Yes.
listen to Zorn.
Yeah, how do you see market regarding price drop in soon, in future, I mean, the next few months?
So it's like a domino effect. Lennar's dropping their pants, KB's dropping their pants.
Yes.
KB's got no choice, right? Because you're
Because
waiting
I
12 months for that
was
house.
at KB Home yesterday, they reduced price 50,000.
Exactly.
I was shocked.
I don't know if we're gonna do that.
50,000. And
I
now,
have-
yeah, I mean, just saying.
No, you're right. So bring that up, because when you tell us agents, we can tell our management, hey, KB's dropping 50,000. Again, are you waiting 12 months for that house, or was that staying in inventory?
No, they need like 8-9 months to be.
So that's kind of your trade-off there, right? They have no choice, otherwise who's gonna wait 9 months when the interest rates are doing this, right? So, weigh your options, and just like I said, we're open to negotiations.
No, I like your company, I work with you guys now.
Try your best,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah,
We
thank you.
wanna move these, our fiscal year end of September, little insider info, which is why we really wanna sell right now, okay?
So this, a normal outside of farm, did it go back to 3%?
Yeah,
Okay,
back to 3.
everything forward, we do it before your, month close? Or year close in September?
Ask, I heard that,
Just
ask,
ask.
don't tell them I told you.
I promise.
Andrew said that you guys are gonna pay 4%.
Yeah, just like.
I'm sitting on my client said for
It's only 3.
Oh, and it's also, well, these 3, yeah, but, get them.
I mean, I'm trying.
I move a house every
The
2
hard part
weeks.
is getting them to go to front.
But once they're out there, hey, let me know when you're coming, let me know which one from Starbucks, okay? I'll have it ready for you guys.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
Oh, so doing, 3 appliances pretty much, washer, dryer, fridge, one, that's all communities. Stainless steel whirlpool, appliance.
Wow.
Thanks.
Might have a water softener in too.
All right, good. Andrew said we get water softeners
I mean,
too.
it's on record.
So,
You guys are okay.
it's on record, it's being recorded, yeah. All right, so, take some pictures throughout the meeting today, and at the end, check in on Facebook as a Realty World Group Southwest office. Make sure,
Camera ready?
make sure. All right. All right, so rev-up's coming out tomorrow is sales cycle, technical provided communication, Jim's teaching that. Monday night is finding motivated sellers and preparing for the listing. This one is Zoom only. Tomorrow is live in the classroom and Zoom, as well as Wednesday and Friday live here in this classroom and via Zoom. Next Wednesday is residential purchase agreement. Tim's the instructor, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then next Friday is working with buyers, getting offers accepted, and Jeff is the instructor on that. That is my license number for when you guys are writing contracts. And hopefully you'll memorize this because you'll have used it so many times.
Ooh, thank you. I received it.
What's that?
I said I received it.
Yeah. Who's got sell so far? Yeah, it's a great, I have signed up for it. I will actually,
Same day.
I'm closing a transaction, I know. I'm actually closing a
Around the same time
transaction
you send that email.
tomorrow, so we'll see how the Zell
Oh,
works.
nice.
Yeah. Knock on wood. All right, so if you have Zell, if your bank already has Zell, all you have to do is scan the bottom one in and answer like 2 or 3 questions and then hit submit, really super easy. If you don't, you'll have to download, like if some credit unions don't have Zell, you're gonna have to download the app and jump through a couple little hoops. It's still pretty easy. But yeah, so you guys wanted a direct deposit for your commissions, this is the way to do it.
Yes, sorry. I tried to do that, but I'm LLC, and I have a Zelle account, and now I cannot make it.
Can't do it with an LLC?
Yep.
You can, it just
You
depends
can.
on your bank.
It's
maybe I
probably
cannot
because
have
the
it. Wow.
check is not in the LLC name.
Go, what bank do you use?
Chase.
Go to Chase.
See,
Ask
Mark,
them.
you should, I've got Chase,
Mhm.
I got an LLC.
Yeah.
It let me set it up. Can we just run the transaction from my account and see
Let me take a note on that. No.
It let me set it up though.
All right, so it's just you, Zoran.
I will go to bank. Okay.
We're still collecting water. We've collected, I don't know, 1,000, 1,200 bottles so far, something like. Our goal is 4,000. We've extended from the 15th, I believe we had it at, to the 26th. So if you want me to go buy water for you, I'll buy water for you. Whatever it takes to get our goal of 4,000.
I had ordered from Instacart, because I almost lost sleep last night. I'm going on vacation tomorrow, and I thought, I haven't done my share. I'm not gonna be here when they collect. So the girl said, Emily, don't worry, you can order on Instacart. They deliver for free, so I should be getting, the water today. They'll deliver it here, so
Nice.
if you don't wanna carry or anything,
That's
order it
something
on
I'm gonna do.
Instacart, have it delivered here, you can share, we're happy.
And again, if you bring water and you need help carrying it in, we have Angel.
He's got wings,
All right, we have Cosmic Bowling coming up on the 26th, Friday the 26th. It's taking place of our happy hour, so Cosmic Bowling, 26, 6 p.m. It's $15 per person and give cash only to Stephanie. We need to reserve the lanes. So I've already signed up. Julia signed up. Millie signed up. Who else?
Me, all of us.
All you guys. Good.
You know there's a Raiders game when this is going on.
This is going
I don't know
on.
who scheduled this.
They'll be playing it.
This is in Henderson.
Y'all have TV there?
I'm sure they have.
Let's have priorities, right?
Wildfires in Henderson.
The same time as the radio.
It's a drive. Okay, so we've canceled our happy hour, Team Spirit every Friday, wear your favorite teams, colors, jersey, whatever, what's that?
She said not the Raiders.
Who's your football team?
The Saints, my football team.
Well, you know, it's still in the same, you know, it's the colors.
The Aints,
That's my son's favorite team.
the Aints who lost their quarterback, and lost their coach, they're getting nowhere.
The Aints.
Ask me who my team is.
Who's your team?
Super Bowl champion Rams.
Okay with them too.
All right, your weekly reminder about Remind, and really what I'm reminding you about is Transaction Desk is going away. September 12th, Transaction Desk will be gone. We're switching over to SkySlow Forms. And it's almost ready, we just, all the association docs, the LVR docs are in there. They're working on getting our raw docs in there. Hey, Maida.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Good
She tried to sneak in.
Wait a minute, Mayra, you know the meeting started at 9:30, right?
She wasn't around when they gave it to Zora.
That's your meeting.
All right, so yeah, so transaction desk is going away. So you can currently use Sky Smoke forms, just the raw docs aren't in there yet. We actually, Paul Godowski had a listing that he needed to do, so we did it, and it's pretty easy, it really is. So but there will be lots of training involved for this stuff.
Before September 12th?
Yes, as long as they get the docs in there. I put his name right here.
Doing great.
Just not on the agenda. All right, hey, Tony,
Yes.
where you at?
I'm right here.
Morning.
Hi, I'm Tony with American Shield. How's everybody?
Great.
So, I just want to remind you, because of course the market's changing, that now is a great time when you have a listing to tell your seller about seller's coverage. So, it's with the Shield Essentials, so it's an $75 added on, so it's a total of $500 at close of escrow. So nobody pays for that fee until you close. So it covers all the systems during the listing period. It's just an added benefit to the seller to cover his home before it closes, and then it transfers to the buyer. If they decide that the buyer wants a different company or they don't want the warranty, there's no charge. Even if we fix something, we don't come knocking on their door saying, now you owe us $2,000 for fixing your AC. So it's up to, we pay a aggregate amount of $2,000. So it's a win-win. I mean, it's just another benefit that you can present when you go to your listing presentation.
So here's the thing, if I'm out on a listing presentation and I'm talking about this and I'm saying it's $75, if they balk in the lease, I say, you know what, I'll pick it up. And then you only pay it at close of escrow, only if it closes, even if they use it. But here's the thing, what happens if you don't even offer it to them and then maybe there's some sort of a catastrophic thing that happens, air conditioning or something breaks down, and they're talking to a buddy of theirs and the friend says, well, why didn't you have a home warranty? And if they weren't offered, they could say, I wasn't told about a home warranty. As agents, you could be held liable. There was a lawsuit, an agent, just on this Jeff Long thing, mentioned it yesterday, an agent out of Berkshire Hathaway who had that same situation, got sued by the seller, and the seller actually won. So, just offer it. And again, you know, I'll pay for it. $75?
See, he can tell you, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but it is a great thing to do because it's $75, but I agree, and lawsuits are popping up, and, you know, I have a friend that's a lawyer, and he says he gets called like almost every day with tenants or whatever. It's just, you know, everybody's out to like see what they can get. It's just kind of the world we live in now, so protect yourself. And again, I always say this, my biggest competition isn't another warranty company, it's no warranty. So protect yourselves, you guys. What do you have to lose? I mean, and you just look like you're on it more if you go there and at least have it in your packet and say, look, you know, you're giving them the option. So if they say no, at least you brought it up. So yes.
Now, on the seller side, did they do any sort of inspection
No.
before?
No. And that's what, we also sell a consumer side. So when your buyers or seller are out looking themselves, please make sure you reach out to me, because the consumer plans, there's a 30-day wait period. So you wanna make sure that they get the real estate product that I sell, because it becomes effective on closing. So, and another thing I just wanna add is the Shield Complete now, that's $775, and I know you probably go, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money, but it covers roof, and you get a free rekey. Now, I just also, because I'm just so transparent, it doesn't cover those fancy locks with that are on a lot of homes. It covers a regular handled, lock with a key, not the digital kind. So I just wanted to clarify that because I've had people ask me about that. But it's just $775 and it's just full coverage. It covers all your Freon refrigerant and even the 410 that now is the alternate refrigerant has gone up in price because it's imported. We only have one place in the United States that makes it. So again, that supply chain is still happening, that the delays in the supply chain. It's getting better, but we're still working. I mean, it just still takes time to get parts. So with that being said, it covers that. It covers $12.50 for codes and modifications. So if they have a water heater that breaks down, it's gonna cover those costs. So just remember that my Kia engine went out, and so I didn't have a car for 3 months. So when I finally get it, they go, oh, it's like $800. I go, $800? Well, they changed all the belts, all the hoses. They were gonna put my old hoses on a new engine. So it's kind of the same way when we replace something, we're gonna bring everything up to code and put new, whatever it is, straps, we're gonna put all new so that the company has brought it up to code and it's all new and everything's new with whatever it is that they're fixing. I just like to bring that up because all these are things that I hear on a daily basis that people call and ask me about. So I'd rather bring it up now so there's no surprises later on. So, does anybody have any questions for me? No?
Go.
I do.
Yes.
Just to clarify, this is for a seller that doesn't already have a home warranty, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then so the 75 is added on to the whole home warranty?
Correct.
That passes on to the buyer?
Even if they pick another plan or whatever, the higher plan, there'd be 75, but at close. Everything's at close, so nobody's paying for anything except the service fee. So nothing is coming up, so it's not like they're out of pocket and go, oh, I paid for this and I didn't get anything. So it's a win-win, on everybody's part. So thank you so much, and again, people use me here and I thank you, and if I don't have the opportunity to earn your business, I hope I can, so thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Johnny. All right. Shawnee has nothing for us today, but I have something for her. So I just want to thank Shawnee for everything that she does for us. She's amazing. And she her and mine have just closed a deal together, so good job, both of you.
And there you go.
Stats.
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Me. God, it's so ironic. I'm doing stats. I hate math, you guys. I like cringe on math. And this is what I look at week after week now so that I can share with you what I see.
She's becoming a number person.
I don't think so, but the numbers from last week, I think we have the thing from last week, 97.33, and all these numbers to now has not changed that much, which is a change from the last few weeks because we've been getting, a ton of active listings, but then the sold ones are kind of slowing down. We've been going from like 2.5 to 2.8 to 3.0 now. Last week we were at 3.8 months inventory. Right now we're at 3.94. Not too much of a change. So if you're like me, my first initial reaction is, how come there's only a few listings added from a week ago, but our month's inventory is now closer to 4%? So how do you get that number? Because I'm like, are we just throwing numbers off of here? So basically what happens is the month's inventory is dependent between the two numbers. That's why I added this here. We didn't have that there last week. The active listings versus the sold listings. So if the active listings we have right now is at 97.91 and we have over 3,000 sold, then that means this number will be less. But because the sold is getting slower and fewer by the week and by the month, then it takes longer time for the market to sell everything out, right? And
So simply that only means that if there is not another listing taken, we'll be completely out of listings in just under 4 months.
right.
So it just gives a good gauge. We were down to 0.8 at one time, and it's slowly over the last couple of months gone up. But 4 is four is good, that's a good market. But, you know, we gotta educate our sellers, because our sellers still think that, I was just talking with an agent, brand new agent yesterday, and she, in her mind, aren't homes selling really fast? Well, no, they're not anymore. The market has shifted. So, you know, 4 is a good stable, you know, once we get up to 5 and 6, that's when we're more of a buyer's market, as opposed to the seller's market we've been in for you know, past couple of years.
And then the price decrease from last week to this week, there's not a whole lot of difference, but I've been seeing a big jump in the last few weeks on our price decrease, but from the last 7 days, there's not a lot of price decrease. So I guess we have kind of adjusted to that, at least this week, not too many change. Also, I wanted to share with you guys that if you haven't done so, and if you are interested, the July housing report, you can get this on the MLS under the LVR website. So if you are just curious, they give really good information on like the monthly. So the July just came out this week, and these are the numbers that I look at, and then I do my own on the MLS to share with you guys.
So does this report come out monthly?
Yeah, this report comes out monthly, so when I first started here, I actually went back a year and a half, because that's the data that they give us, up to a year and a half's worth of data, so that I can see really line by line, because I'm so visual. I need to write them down and see them line by line on what the changes in the market are, so that we can see. I do have it for my own copy, but if you guys ever need it, let me know. And if you want just a copy of this without looking it up, just swing by my office today. I didn't want to print it for everybody if you're not interested, because I'm just wasting paper. But I do have, you know, the month-to-month changes and the week-by-week changes on see how many active listings and how many sold. And I think this information just is really good when you're listing, because then educating our sellers is actually what will help us sell the house and price them initially. So.
Cool, awesome.
That's all I got.
Any questions for Emily regarding stats? No questions? All right. Again, you know, our job is educate you so that you can go out and educate your buyers and sellers. But you need to educate yourself as well. So go in there, pull up the report, kind of dissect it, so that you can see what's going on in our marketplace, so that you can talk intelligently. Some of us can talk intelligently, I can't, about what's going on in our market. Okay? Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Isn't Emily a great addition to this office? All right, Felicia.
All right, good morning, you
Good
guys.
morning.
Oh, I'm excited for today.
Yes.
I'm really excited for today.
She's excited for today.
I'm excited for today. So I'm excited because literally, I think this is the first time I've had the entire team of Rockets here for you guys today. So we're gonna not only have a 30-minute Q&A for a couple of our best escrow officers, so Eugenia and Desiree are here, but we have customer service here today, so we have Anthony, and we also have another special guest who recognizes Matt. So Matt's gonna talk, our title manager, Matt. So first thing I wanna make sure you guys know also is our 1 o'clock training for Rock University, because every Thursday we do the 1 o'clock, and we do it where? Here, live, right, on Zoom. But guess what? Today is different. Today he's gonna be here. Justin Taylor is here today, 1 o'clock. Super excited, yep. So for those of you who haven't met him yet, I am excited to have him here. We are gonna do Google business websites. Business analytics, I think analytics, yeah.
If you guys don't have it,
So, yes.
do it.
Yeah, so let's all gather. Hopefully you guys have some free time at 1 o'clock. We'd love to see you here for 1 hour, just 1 hour. If not, he will be on Zoom still. We have Justin Taylor, he's actually flying in right now.
Felicia, it is tape though, right?
Yes, we always record everything, yeah. So, we are gonna get started with my awesome team, and I wanna make sure everybody has 3 flyers. Everybody has 3 flyers in there. We have document we're gonna talk about today. We have Qualia and our red alert flyer. You guys all have them? Okay, I will pass those out. Come on up, you guys. Come on in. Should we get some parcels? Probably, let's do 4.
I'm like, yeah, those are.
He's gonna grab two more parcels for you guys.
I don't know, she's doing like a.
Yes, I have some questions, we're gonna, you guys can kinda get it going here, and I got some questions we're gonna throw out at you. So, this is a great time for you guys to start thinking about anything related to title and escrow, whether you have an escrow with Rock or not. Okay, we're gonna open it up, we're gonna talk about some things that happen behind the scenes that maybe you don't know about. The did you knows, scenarios, I'm sure Matt has some stories he can tell us. But I do have some general questions that we'll start with. And then anything that you guys have thought about related to what's happening behind the scenes of title and escrow. So, go ahead and introduce yourselves. I want to make sure everybody knows who you are.
My name is Matt Hoff. I am the title manager for Rock Title. It's good to be back in the Southwest. You know, this is, you guys are close to my heart. You know, I worked out of the, here in the Southwest for a while, so it's awesome to be back.
Yay.
Anybody else see questions?
Oh, Richard, I'm like, do you have a question? Good morning, everyone. I'm Desiree Holmes. I am the branch manager as well as a senior escrow officer at our Southwest location. Good to be here with you guys again this morning, as usual.
I'm Anthony Hanson. I work in the customer service department, so helping you guys out. Any profiles, any open house kits that you guys need, and marketing pieces. We're here to help you as well as far as just help you guys.
And a lot of you know me already. I'm Eugenia Schmidt. I'm also an escrow officer here at the Southwest office. I'm here every Thursday. She's a call away.
I'm actually going to start the questions if everyone doesn't mind, because I think that it's something to understand what underwriting is about, because we are considered title insurance company, right? Mm-hmm. So Matt, can you kick it off with telling us about what is the underwriter, who is the underwriter, and what are they doing at open, close?
Yeah.
Like during the process and at close?
So anytime you guys get a commitment from us, let's say you open escrow, we then supply you with the commitment for title insurance. What you're gonna see is that although it has Rock Title listed on that commitment, it's either gonna be printed on First American paper or it's gonna be printed on, which was Naticat, but they had just switched over to DOMA. So technically, they are the underwriters for that insurance policy, meaning that they are the ones who stand behind that policy. So our underwriters, we're considered what in the industry is an agency. So we're not a direct shop. So you could go to a First American and basically get the same policy at First American that we are issuing here at Rock. So we're classified as an agency, so we're almost basically providing you with a First American product. But however, it's issued under Rock Title. So the whole underwriters, basically, they are the ones who basically say yay or nay pertaining to something. I'll review it and give the approval, hey, this is good, based off my general knowledge. If there's something out of my wheelhouse or there's added risk or liability in a transaction, I have to then run it by our underwriters, and our underwriters determine whether we could issue that policy under First American or under DOMA, and what requirements are we going to need, or we're going to require from our parties to either eliminate the risk or lower the risk in order for us to be able to insure that transaction.
So the 2% a year that you get back from First American, no, we're not insuring that property, and you're the messenger with the bad news.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm the most beloved rock title. Yeah, so
we love you, man.
Yeah. Every underwriter is different. Every underwriter has their own requirements. A lot of times what people don't understand is when we say no on an insurance level, we've ran it through our underwriters. Our underwriters are not just some guy sitting behind a desk that they hired off the streets. Our underwriters are real estate attorneys. They've been in the industry for many years. So granted, and when we get a lot of feedback, hey, well, no, these are the laws in Nevada. Okay, we understand that those are the laws in Nevada, but there's also there's an insurance level to our transactions. So this may be the statutes in Nevada, and that might be legal, but anybody could take or challenge those statutes in a court of law. So at that point, it becomes a insurance risk. how can we get comfortable? Is there even, they abide by the statutes, and this is what Nevada's statutes state, is there still risk and liability that we feel uncomfortable with? And are we gonna then issue either additional requirements, or we're gonna say, no, unfortunately, we're gonna decline insurance on this transaction?
Do you have an example of a risk?
Probate is a big one. You know, anytime a property is going through any kind of probate or legal proceedings for, you know, who has interest in this property, who has right to the property, there's risk. You know, are there heirs out there that feel that, hey, heirs don't even have to be, hey, this is my daughter, this is my wife. It could be a third cousin who felt that they are entitled to some kind of interest to their estate. So anytime, even though there's proceedings to handle these matters, to address these heirs' interests in the estate, at any point after that order is issued, someone could still assert an interest onto that estate. They could reopen, there's a 30-day appeal period for any interested parties. During that 30-day appeal period, anybody could come and say, hey, I wasn't properly noticed through the courts, I'm an heir to his estate, I'm gonna challenge what the courts have already ordered through proceedings. So at that point, what we get a lot of pushback is, okay, yeah, we have a probate order, and you know, hey, this is what you guys requested, you know, probate's closed, we're good. No, but there's still that 30-day window from when any interested party who feels that they have a claim to that estate could challenge that order through the courts. So at that point, if we close and we insure the person within that 30-day window, and now the person comes who feels that they have an interest to the property in the estate and challenges that, now we're on the hook, because now our policy is gonna come into effect, and basically we're standing behind that policy, so now we have a claim on our hands.
Which is interesting, you brought two of those items up, because anybody get a red alert cover sheet on any prelim that they received from Rock? Did you ever have a red alert? So that's on there, clearly written. If there is a probate order, the 30-day appeal period is very important,
And
as well as the 14-day with the bankruptcy.
Yeah, so any order out of the courts, whether it be probate, whether it be, I don't know, the divorce, yeah, and any order out of a court is always subject to an appeal period. Granted, there's things that we could get, you guys could provide to us, or the certain verbiage within that order where we could feel comfortable with, that maybe we could waive that appeal period, or we could close sooner. But the 30-day appeal period, or appeal periods on any order that we're relying on is standard.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we'll always mark the red alert sheet on the cover of your prelim when you get it back after you open your escrow. And the prelim comes in about what time turnaround?
Right now, we're probably about 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
And spousal deeds, anything will be marked on there if there's like, hey, I'm gonna go sell my house, but my husband moved to Germany.
Yeah.
Still has to do a spousal deed.
Yeah, so yeah, any issues, and so we actually started implementing the Red Alert program probably about 6 months ago, but you know, it's just that, hey, you know, this could hold up closing, this is a high risk requirement, we need this in order to issue insurance on the property. And it's a notification to escrow to relay the message to you and your clients. And definitely, anytime you have a red alert, it's definitely an issue that we want resolved prior to actual closing of the file, or recording.
Okay, question.
Go ahead.
For Matt.
Yes, sir.
Are you real Matt? I cannot recognize you. For this spousal deed, your spouse is in, let's say, Europe.
Yeah.
And they get notarized in American embassy. How long is it valid?
The notary, I would say, with us for insurance purposes, we would probably want to, I would say, anywhere between 30 to 60 days. I mean, once a deed is executed, there's no expiration date on that deed. For insurance purpose, though, we would probably want it fairly recently. We would want it within 30 or 60 days of closing. Yeah.
How do you deal with judgments? Like all of a sudden we get the prelim, we're reviewing it, and there's a judgment.
So judgments, so this is the thing, you know, you guys will get your know before you list, or you guys will get your commitments.
And that's where Anthony comes into play.
There will not be a judgment listed on the commitment. And then all of a sudden, you know, you get a call from Des saying, hey, there's an IRS there's an IRS lien, or there is a judgment, a civil suit where, you know, unfortunately the judgment was against our parties, and now we have to pay that. So what happens in that process is kind of how it goes through, and why it's not reflected on the commitment is because when we do any kind of search on a property, we always do what we call a general index search, where we run our parties' names through our systems, and it basically runs a search through the Clark County court systems, and it will pull common names on this search, and we have to go through there and determine, one, is this our party? Two, could this judgment attach to our property? So in Nevada, any judgment issued out of the Clark County courts or the federal courts will automatically attach to assets for the person that is against. So at that time, we go through it and we say, okay, hey, can we eliminate this? Can we, you know, is this something that could affect our transaction? There are statutes of limitations on these judgments. So if it's a civil judgment, 6 years. So anything entered between a 6-year time frame automatically attaches to the property. After 6 years, if the judgment has not been renewed, at that point we could out it by the Nevada statutes. Federal is 20 years. So any kind of judgment issued out of a federal court, which is the United States bankruptcy courts, or any kind of other federal court, is going to be 20 years. Any kind of state judgment is going to be 10 years. So based off of those statutes and based off the names that we're reflecting within these judgments, we kind of say, okay, is this something that we need to show? Is this something we need to be aware of? If we can't out it with the information we have in front of us, we then make an SI requirement for the commitment. So when you're going through the commitment, you see an SI requirement, definitely get that to escrow as soon as possible. Because what happens is then escrow supplies us with that SI, and we go back off of the stuff that we couldn't clear, and we determine, okay, can we out this? Is this a hit? Is this not a hit? We then say, okay, hey, these are possible hits, or this is a direct hit. We need to get this cleared up. They have to contact the attorney. They have to contact the IRS. There's just different ways we could clear this up. If it's a direct hit, again, and it falls within that statutory time frame, and we know that it's our parties, again, we would ask for a payoff demand, and we would need to pay that through escrow.
So Desiree or Eugenia, on the SI, which some people might not know what that is, so the statement of information, right?
Yes, correct, I'm sorry, yeah, statement of
Do you
information.
guys try to do that up at the beginning of the opening of the escrow so that we can get that info as quickly as possible?
Me personally, I open the escrow, and regardless if we're gonna need it or not, that's part of my opening package, pretty much. I mean, it's nothing like major, it's mainly personal information, so the client is never gonna deny to share anything that we are requesting. So for me personally, I like to send it regardless if we might need it or not, rather have it than.
I think the way each escrow officer does that is differently. Every escrow officer doesn't run her desk the same way. It is a document I require for buyers and sellers with all my transactions. Generally, you'll just see it in their documents when they come to sign. I don't like to piecemeal stuff to your clients because we all know they hate that. So I try to make it easy for them and have them sign everything at once. But with our new system, Qualia, that we have right now, if your clients are using this portal, it's amazing because they can go in, they can fill out their SI, they can put all their information, everything right there. It makes it easy, and then we have what we need. Mark, you've had a question for a minute. I've seen you over there. Felicia can't see you.
What exactly is a statement of information, and why is it so important?
A statement of information just basically is a breakdown of your client's personal information, their names, their socials, their marital status, their residence in the last 7 years, their jobs, just their personal information, because we're using all that on there to clear these liens and judgments. It's amazing how many of your clients have the same name as all these other people out there, and we don't know, is it your client or is it another John Smith? You know what I'm saying? So it's crucial that we have all this information to be able to clear that. And then, like Matt said, to different degrees is how we clear it depending on what it is and how much information your client's provided, but.
Yeah.
So what happens if there's a name that comes up on the hit list?
Well, at that point, I mean, again, we use that information to try to out that judgment, but if the information provided is just not enough. At that time, we would ask escrow, hey, we need to contact either this attorney office, we need to do something, IRS to seek, hey, is our party the party that has the judgment or the lien? But, and I granted, the statement of information, and I understand, a lot of this information that we are asking is sensitive information. We're asking for social security numbers, we're asking for prior marriages, and we do get pushback sometimes, hey, well, they don't want to disclose this information. And we get it, but understand, the less information we have, the harder it is for us to clear these judgments. So if we're asking for the SI, and all he wants to do is provide us his full legal name, at that point, we're gonna be like, okay, well, here's 20 judgments that we're gonna need escrow to clear. And if escrow can't clear those 20 judgments, then at that point, we're like, well, then, we can't close. We need more information from the seller. So, we're a reputable title company.
We keep it safe.
Yeah, we
That's
keep
what
it
he's
safe.
saying. That's
Yeah.
our job. It's
Yeah,
our
I'm
job.
not going around flashing
Yeah.
SIs in the middle of the
To keep your
you know.
client's information safe. It
Yeah.
doesn't go anywhere beyond raw title and just trying to clear that information. We have everybody's personal information. That's what we're doing. You know, we get loan docs from the lender. That has their 1003, as we know, and it has all their personal information. That's what we deal with. We deal with people's personal information. So our top priority always is keeping that safe. And we have practices put into place to ensure that your client's information is always safe. So that as long as they're aware of that, generally they're comfortable and they want to obviously get their deal closed. So that's what we need to proceed.
Yeah, so, and I don't want to scare you, so what I'm talking about as far as the SI and the judgments that attach to personal property, that's gonna be more on the seller side. So buyers, there's a statute in Nevada that basically, any purchase money loan automatically has priority lien position over any kind of judgment or any kind of IRS lien. So, we're not too concerned about that on the buyer end. Again, if they bought the property and they have a judgment, that judgment would automatically attach, but for insurance purposes, because that lien position is already gonna be held by that purchase money deed of trust, we're not really too concerned about it. The only thing we're concerned about on the buyer end is, open bankruptcies, so.
And going back to the technology and being able to, be secure with their clients, the sensitivity to their clients. Let's talk about the Qualia Connect. What did we just recently roll out with the features from our Qualia Connect escrow system?
There's a lot of stuff that has been rolled out. I'm getting a lot of feedback from a lot of my agents. You guys really like it. It's cool for you because instead of being like, this is my commission, this is that, you can go right into the portal, you can put your commission, your transaction fee, HOA information, because a lot of you guys don't realize we can't order HOA demands until we get the commitment from Matt's team, because we have no idea who the HOA is or who's managing that company. But if you guys are going in and putting all this in the beginning of the transaction, that's just giving everybody a head start. We can reach out, start getting the demand rolling, all that good stuff. Again, like I touched on briefly, buyers and sellers can utilize it as well. They can complete their statement of informations. They can put all their personal information in there. They can tell us their marital status, which is always super important. Like maybe your seller was on title as unmarried, but now they're married. Guess what? Their spouse needs to sign a deed. Same with the buyer. Could be just one buyer qualified for the loan, but if they're married, either that spouse has to go on title only, or we have to have them sign a deed. So they're giving us all this information that normally it takes a while for us to collect, and now we have everything in the beginning in one spot, and we're all on the same page. It gives you real-time updates on what's happening with your files. You guys can access it anytime you want, see exactly where your files are at. It's a wonderful tool. I love it.
Where do they get the link to sign up for it?
You actually, when you give us your emails and you open escrow and we go in and put all your information, Qualia will automatically send you an email inviting you to use Qualia Connect.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the flyer that we handed out gives you a little bit more idea of what that can include. I do like the auto updates, right?
Mhm.
Auto
Yeah.
updates are working really well,
Yeah.
and then it'll advise them if there's a document needed to be uploaded,
Yeah.
et cetera. Okay. Have you had a transaction with Zocca yet?
No, I
Not yet?
I have
Have
not
you?
either, no.
Not yet? Okay. Did we wanna talk about Zocca? Because I think it's a great tool as well. We passed out the flyer for that, regarding kind of the digital deposit.
Deposits,
of
yeah.
the deed.
Yeah, for earnest money. It's used for earnest money deposits right now only. We're not using it for closing funds, but they can use that system to deposit their earnest money. Other than that, I don't know much about it. I
We
feel
can
like
help you
there
individually.
is
it's like a
Charge.
$7.50 fee,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I did
when
see
you
that.
use it, yep.
Is it more secure than doing a bank transfer? or
No, I wouldn't say it's more
Is
secure.
it as secure?
As secure, yes.
For sure, yeah. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Everything we do in title and escrow is secure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, you
Yeah.
know, fraud and all that.
Yes, exactly, yeah,
Is there
because it's
less-
crazy,
less
yes.
option,
I
less
mean,
chances
wouldn't
to
it
get
kind
in?
of be more secure because you're downloading the app and you're sending, I mean, you
Mhm.
can't be
Yeah, 'cause
fraud.
there's a
if
lot
you're
of
doing
wire
it through
transfer
this.
fraud.
Correct.
And when you
Yeah.
download the app and you actually go into the screen that you select the bank, when your
Yeah.
client selects the bank,
I've
you'll
seen it.
see they
Yeah.
work with all the top banks.
Yeah, I've seen it,
So it is a very secure,
what's her name showed me, the app, she
yes,
downloaded it and showed me.
Stephanie,
Stephanie.
yeah, it's excellent. Really quick, going back to Qualia, built-in e-signing, I would love to actually learn about that.
Yeah, so to touch on that a little bit, this is a cool tool, but it has its limitations, like any e-signing. Like, this is great if you wanna e-sign our buyer stuff, if it's cash all day, or seller stuff. You know, it's kinda like a Ron signing, remote online notary signings that we know everybody's getting into right now when our sellers are, you know, in China and they can't go to the consulate, so now they can sign via Ron. But like, don't think it's gonna be like buyer's loan documents, cause we can't dictate that as title and escrow, that's driven by the lender. So whatever the lender requires is how the lender's docs still have to get signed, just to clear up that part.
Yeah, this is only for title documents.
Yeah, this is basically for rock title documents, yeah.
Okay. I have a
Um,
couple more questions, but if you guys jump in, please, don't feel like I have to ask everything. Anything coming to mind?
Mark?
Mark has a question? Go.
For Matt,
Yes, sir.
so, there's two types of title insurance on every transaction. Can you explain the difference between the two? Why do we need two?
Yeah, so typically there are two policies that are being issued on the transaction. One is the owner's policy that we are giving to the new vested owner on the property. That policy basically states, hey, you are getting a free and clear title, free of any kind of interest, encumbrances, judgments that may have been on title from the prior owner. The policy actually covers a ton of stuff. It's a standard policy covers, you know, hey, I have, the purchaser of that property has access to their property. So there's a ton of different coverages as far as what the actual policy covers. But the second one is basically, we are issuing a policy to the lender saying that they have priority lien position on that property. So in case the borrower were to default on that loan, they have rights to foreclose on that property, and nothing is going to hinder them or get in the way of them foreclosing on the property.
And we do have a little flyer that outlines both of them and lists everything that's covered in both that we can
Yeah.
send you guys to.
Yeah. I would-
So a
Yeah.
cash transaction, we don't need a lender's policy?
Yeah, so
Correct.
yeah, if there is a cash transaction, there is no lender on the policy, so there would be no lien position that we need to secure. So at that point, if we're issuing one policy, it would, depending on, again, the ramifications of the transaction, who's the purchaser, what is the intent, or what is the use of the property going to be? Is it gonna be my primary? Is it gonna be an investment? At that time, it would be one policy, and we would determine what type of policy we would issue, what coverage you would receive on that policy.
So we have a few more questions. I think you answered this one.
Okay.
Once escrow opens, when can we expect title?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Probably meaning prelim,
Mhm.
24 to 48.
Yeah, 24 to 48 hours.
One question, they did commercial or just residential?
No, we do commercial, we do residential, we do 1031 exchanges, FERC does, reverse mortgages. Look, I've been doing all this, girl, for over 20 years. Whatever you got, we'll do it.
I actually get asked that a lot about the
Yeah.
commercials. So do we use, obviously, First American, yes, one of our.
Yeah, one of our commercial.
Yeah. Another question was, oh,
You
do
need
you
to
have?
have a question.
Yes.
I have a question. I was in a
class and we were talking about, two individuals that were married, that were not married, that buy a property together, so girlfriend, boyfriend, mother and dad of kids, that we can ask, that they were talking about asking escrow to discuss with them, like, the responsibility, because now they can't go to like a
Vesting.
divorce court, to get things rectified, that they understand what they're kind of getting into.
Yeah,
That's
it's,
the vesting question.
Yeah.
Like, how important is vesting? I mean, it's
vesting's
important.
super important. Marital status is important, which is part of the vesting, and then the vesting itself that lets people know, you know, whose interest is what. But as soon as you put somebody on title with you, unless you break down specifically the interest in that property, like an undivided 30% or whatever your client's deciding to do, like if you're just a boyfriend and girlfriend, like you're stating, you both on title as joint tenants, now you both are equally owners of that property.
Is this something that,
She's
explains that to them,
educated,
or
that's-
educating the clients regarding it? Like, I know that that's not really my place, I mean, I can totally
We
go
do
see
like-
somebody, but.
We have a vesting form when they come in and sign, and it lists all the different ways that they can take title, and it gives a brief explanation, and then we're obviously there available to answer any more questions they have in regards
That's
to it
more
during their
at the
signing.
signing part.
Yeah, when they're
Is it something
signing.
that we can request that be talked about?
If there's
at the
like a-
beginning of escrow?
If there's a
Opening escrow
lender,
instructions?
the lender kinda drives that a lot too, when they're doing everything in the beginning, and they'll reach out to us either with their lender request, they might let us know what it is. A lot of the lenders ask us what it is, so then that's when we're going back to you guys going, well, are your clients married? Cause we don't talk to them, we don't know until, you know, we actually get to communicate with them, and that's another great thing about Qualia Connect, with your clients going in and just giving us that information. We have more knowledge to go back to the lender and be like, okay, these parties are married, you know, they can go on title as husband and wife as joint tenants, which is the most common one, because it does, like, if something happens to one of them, the property automatically defaults to the survivor, and there's no probate involved, so that's why people love that one. But if it doesn't really matter that they're married or not married, like, they're equal owners, so when they go to sell that transaction, they're both gonna have to sign to sell.
Yeah, well,
You
then,
know.
well, yeah, and going back, so just kind of the risk involved with, hey, two people who are not husband and wife. I mean, granted, there's risk. I mean, husband and wives, we
There's
see it all the
risk
time.
too,
There's
yeah.
risk too. There's
Risk
people
for
get divorced.
everybody.
At that
Yeah.
point, there's, you know, they're two unmarried individuals. But if we come across, you know, we issue a commitment, we have two individuals on title, escrow finds out from you guys, you know, it was a boyfriend and girlfriend, they split up. Party A does not want to sell the property, party B wants to sell the property, at that point it becomes an uninsurable, a transaction. There's two vested owners on title, we need both vested owners to consent to the transfer or to the sale of the property in order for us to proceed. We are deemed a neutral third party, where we're not here to sit here and go through a mediation hearing between the two parties and determine, hey, okay, well, you're gonna get this and you're gonna get that. At that point, if escrow were to present it to us, at that point, we would say, hey, we either want them to agree to any kind of proceeds, have them both execute our documents, or at that point, take it to a court. The court is gonna then have to determine who has what percentage, even though they're vested 50-50, as long as they could show that, hey, well, we're vested 50-50, but I was able to supply them with evidence that I was making the mortgage payment the whole time. The court's gonna be like, okay, well, you know, then this time she's gonna get this cut, he's gonna get this cut, they're gonna supply us with the order, and per the courts, we're gonna have to abide by what the court has laid out, so.
I would say on the kids, cause you brought up kids for a little minute too, don't ever put a minor on title right away. That's just an issue. Minors aren't allowed to sign deeds and legal
I
documents.
have a
Yeah.
question that kind of piggybacks off that. So what about like a boyfriend, girlfriend, but only one of them is on title?
Then they,
Well, then he
then
has,
that's,
But let's say the other one passes away.
yeah.
if,
That would go to probate?
yes, if
If
there's
they're
only
both on
one person, she
Only
said one on title.
Oh, so.
And they're not married, there's only
The
one person on title,
The
and they're
person
not
on title
married.
passed away.
Oh,
That
yeah.
goes
That's
to
probate.
probate.
Yeah, that's-
And there could be a will or something like that, and different things, or if
Yeah.
maybe it's.
But if it's
the
under a
trust.
trust, then it would be okay.
It depends on how the trust reads, and it could still possibly go to probate.
Yeah, well, so a trust, granted, so we have to abide by what the trust lays out.
Right.
Let's say they give us a trust, you know, the trust had laid out, okay, the A, B, and C, or there's trustee, successor trustee, and successor trustee. At that point, if we say, okay, successor trustee can't be found, trustee B is deceased, trustee C doesn't want to even, wants to decline to act as trustee for the trust. At that point, we would be like, okay, well, then the courts need to assume the jurisdiction of the trust, and they need to authorize, okay, who is to sign as trustee and who is authorized to act on behalf of the trust.
Okay, and then what if during, like, the one person's on title, but during the time that they have the home, then they get married? Would that make any difference if they got married after?
Yeah, well, so yeah, well, no, I mean, yeah, if he was invested on title, it wouldn't matter. He still couldn't, he would still have to go through a probate court. Granted, if he was now the spouse, and they were to do probate because he is now the spouse, there's probably a good chance that, yeah, the courts are gonna assign him as administrator of the estate. So at that point, like I said, I mean, he wouldn't be able to sell the property, walk in and say, hey, I wanna sell it.
But if if the person on title passed away and they were married, but the wife wasn't on title,
yeah.
then they
Yeah,
would probate though.
Yeah, it would have to be probate, yeah,
Okay.
still probate, yeah.
I'm asking because of my own situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because no, but my fiance's name is on our house.
Yeah.
So, but we're getting married in March. So
Yeah.
like, I would, God forbid he was to pass away, I'm just wondering what's the best way to protect myself and my interest in the home, especially since I'm the breadwinner.
You should deed yourself on, just deed yourself on
Okay.
as joint tenants, a married man and a
I've
married
been
woman. You don't have to
procrastinating
be,
doing that for a
Yeah.
certain reason, but okay.
you don't have to be married yet to deed yourself on, but then you now have your legal interest in that property, you know?
Okay, that's a question, can they do that through us randomly, or does it have to be the
So,
escrow in with us?
We have to have an open escrow transaction to prepare deeds like this for you guys. It's a liability issue for us that Matt will tell you.
Yeah, so yeah, accommodation recordings, we don't like to do. Even though they're accommodational recordings and we assume no liability with the recording of that deed, there's still liability. Whether it gets recorded incorrectly for some odd reason, somebody's, you know, who has interest in the property is now saying, well, what the heck, you know, you guys recorded the deed, so why is, so there's unseen liability that we deem high risk, and that's why we cannot, unfortunately, do accommodation recordings. And you go to any other title company, all the other title companies, they don't wanna.
So who would do that?
Emily asked me this
So,
very
yeah,
question
yeah,
this
I saw
morning,
the
which
list.
is funny.
Yeah.
There's different deed preparation companies, like Nevada Legal Forms is a very,
Direct signings?
direct signing.
But I remember, I think I asked you this before, Desiree, and you told me something about once it's time to sell, it could be a little.
Yeah, like, because
Or
it's considered an
like, or
uninsured deed,
something.
you're right, and that's what I was gonna bring up next. So anytime you go to a deed preparation company, and I told Emily this as well this morning, and I always inform you guys of this when you ask me this question, I want you to understand the full picture so your clients can have all the information. Title companies won't just go and insure on uninsured deeds. It's another liability for us. We have no way of knowing if that seller or that person of record was the one that actually signed that document. It's not backed by another title company. They didn't insure it. Their notaries didn't go out there. They didn't check to see that's that person. You know, people's homes are getting sold out from under them all the time right now. It's our number one job to protect the interests of your clients. So we have to make sure that that party signed that document. So we go back, and whoever was that person that deeded over has to sign a new document, which is called an uninsured deed now. So they basically sign this document saying, it's uninsured deed affidavit, David stating, yes, I did intend to sign this deed and relinquish my rights to this property.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this really quick, because this is an important one, I've been asked this before and I don't know the answer. If I am sole and separate, if my vesting is sole and separate on my property, but I'm married, does my spouse still need to sign? Wait, hold on, let me ask it the way that Emily wrote it down. If the property was purchased as sole and separate property, the spouse still needs to sign?
So.
If the spouse is unavailable, or if the divorce happens, how do you close?
Okay, so sole and separate means you are married, because that's the proper vesting for married people. You wouldn't use that if you're unmarried, you'd just be like an unmarried man or woman. So if you're sole and separate, it means that you're married. I personally, my husband's not on my house right now, like I'm on title, Desiree Holmes, a married woman is her sole and separate property, but my spouse has signed off previously. So at Rock Title, the amazing thing is, if a spouse has previously signed off, we don't require them to sign off again, like a lot of title companies do.
Well, if it's as long as it's within 10 years.
Yeah.
If
It's not really gonna, yeah.
Yeah.
10 years. 10 years is a long, I've never had it where it's been an issue.
So so typically, again, you know, the spousal deed, if let's say you purchased a property in 2005, there was a spousal deed, you purchased it sole and separate property. At that time, we would want an updated spousal deed, just because things change. Within 20 some odd years of ownership, or however long it was, you know, was there a divorce? Does he have a new spouse? Does, you know, so that spousal deed, it kind of, it helps clean up a lot of the back risk involved with issuing a policy.
We check that too, like, are they still married to the same person?
Yeah.
Like, we ask you guys these questions to make sure we're in compliance. But if the spouse hasn't signed off, yes, they will have to sign a deed to sell the property.
Yeah, and so the way community property works in Nevada is, at time you acquire the asset, if you're married, your spouse automatically has interest in that property, or interest in that home. So if you purchased the property as single and then got married, community property wouldn't apply. But however, if we find out that you're now married, we would still want an executed spousal deed from your spouse, because at that point, even though he doesn't have a legal right to the property, community property does not apply, we still want to get a spousal deed from him for any interest he believes he has in that property. So, and that's why you're gonna see spousal deeds come across and be like, well, I wasn't married, you know, when I purchased this property, why does my now new husband have to execute a spousal deed? So, I'm sorry.
To piggyback, what if you have a prenup? Will that suffice, or you'll still need the spouse to come and sign?
If you have a prenup, no, if there's a prenup that has been issued and there's a signed doc, depending on when was it issued, when was it executed, what does the prenup lay out? Again, it's gonna be a case by case basis. But if that prenup says, hey, I'm to receive the property free and clear of any interest, at that point, we would probably say, okay, and this was, let's say it was entered in 5 years ago. At that point, we could get pretty safe knowing that, okay, hey, we're looking at what's up title, he hasn't tried to file any claim, there's nothing within the court systems that determine that he's to get any kind of interest, or said spouse is to get any kind of interest. So at that point, we could feel pretty safe just relying on the prenup or the divorce decree that was issued out of courts. Yeah.
Thank you. We have one last question, unless you guys have any others. I'll let Eugene take it. EMD, it's always the biggest question, right? What happens if the seller retains or gets the EMD back, right? Gets to hold on to it. Can that buyer come back later and do anything with putting a cloud on the title, or going after the seller in any kind of way?
No, if it was actually an agreement, so obviously we're always requesting addendums to be signed by both parties in order to release earnest money. So I mean, once we release it and both parties have agreed, that's it. There is no turnaround, no claiming, no nothing. Even if the transaction cancels or whatever might happen at the end, I mean, once we release it and both parties have agreed to it, that's it.
And if both parties haven't agreed, it just sits there and sits there and sits there until, I mean, what, you guys have seen DMD, you've held DMD for like 2 years after that, yeah. Which costs us money.
Yeah.
So we don't wanna hold DMD.
And then eventually we'll just start taking it. No. Emily?
Doesn't it consume itself though, after time?
Technically, like, in our fees, after a couple of years, like, we can start collecting a holding fee, cause that's not what we do. We're not a big thing institution, we don't hold funds, but yeah, we try not to do that. Emily?
Yeah, so that one, cause that comes up with the agents, at least recently, where even if they, have canceled within the contingency period, then the seller decides, no, I'm keeping the deposit, and then the buyer seems to just get stuck with that mercy of the seller releasing it, and if the seller doesn't want it, is there, instead of just taking them to court, is there a way where the buyer can say, you know what, I followed everything I'm supposed to do, just because I canceled doesn't mean you can keep my deposit? Is there a way for the buyer to put a cloud on the title so that the seller can now rethink, okay, you know, maybe I should give them the deposit so I don't have this problem later on? It's almost like a recourse, is that possible?
I mean, I would say mediation before going to the courts first,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's always that
Mediation
option where
is
everybody
required.
can sit there,
Yeah.
and with a mediator and try to come to terms, and we always hope that works. I mean, technically, you can go put a lien against somebody's house, that's why we put our houses in homesteads, you know?
Right.
To protect it, people can still get a lien, but they're not gonna be able to take your home because of this lien, but again, when you go to sell or refinance, now you have this lien on title, and it's gonna have to be addressed at this time in one of these ways that we've been talking about today.
Yeah, I've seen RPAs recorded against properties. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
You
Yeah.
see
Yeah,
what?
we just had that one
Real
on
estate
mine.
purchasing.
Yeah,
I
we just had a
so you've
contract,
seen them
yeah.
recorded, so
Yeah,
recorded
it
RPAs
was-
property.
Yeah, it was on one of mine, yeah.
Yeah, and at that point, it's a cloud on title, hey, you know, we have this
Ah,
agreement,
okay. Wow,
this
that's
purchase
crazy.
agreement to sell, okay, well, is it our party who's purchasing the property? And if it is, then, okay, well, we want a release of that agreement.
It's because it was an original buyer, they didn't get the home for some reason, they were disgruntled, so they went and recorded their contract like that was gonna make them
Oh,
legal
wow.
owner of
Yeah.
the home is what it was.
Yeah,
yeah.
well, so we had
Yeah.
insured the transaction with a different buyer. The person who we had insured went to go and try to sell the property. Another title company contacted us saying, hey, we found this. They didn't even record it right. It was against a whole nother property.
It was, they had a different
Yeah, parcel
number.
We're like, how do we
It was
take-
a hot mess,
Yeah, so at that point, luckily, it was a Realty One agent. Des contacted the Realty One agent, said, hey, do you remember this person? He said, yeah, do you have cancellation? Do you have a cancellation of this RPA? And luckily, he had it.
Luckily, yeah, I was
He
able
had
to
it,
get
sent it
everything
over to
in
the title
clear,
company.
but
Wow, okay.
it was a crazy situation. But
scary.
see, we'll take care of anything. It doesn't matter what it is. If we've never seen it, we're gonna fix it for you. That's all you
But I
need to
think
know.
for comfort reasons, cause everybody thinks that because the seller is demanding that return of the EMD, we can't release it. You guys hold on to it.
Yep.
It has to be mutually
Always.
agreed.
Always.
It takes a signature by both parties.
Yep.
Okay, who else has questions? Anybody, any, date down. Oh, Matt, tell us what a date down
Ooh,
is.
yes, that's a good one.
Oh,
Does anyone know what a date
exciting.
down is?
Exciting.
Oh, man.
We're not taking you out for a steak dinner.
So I tell Felicia this morning, yeah, we're gonna close tomorrow. Oh, date down.
Date down today. So he's like, what's a date down?
Okay.
I'm like,
Just
so
trying to
even-
scare me.
Even those of us that have been in the business for years and years, right? We all
Yeah.
learn something new still every day. So
Yeah.
what's a date down?
Okay, so anytime we issue a commitment on a property, there is a plant date on that commitment. Well, there's an effective date of that commitment. That effective date of the commitment is going to reflect the date of our title plan. Our title plan is every title plan is backdated. So the effective date of a plant date is, hey, this is the date where these documents have been indexed to the plan. So because we don't have a current plant date, we can't offer a current effective commitment date. So once we issue the effective commitment saying, hey, we are gonna issue insurance on this property, and we come to closing, we now have to do what we call a date down. But what happens is it updates our file that we've pulled information from our plants to reflect new items of record or new items that are associated to our transactions or our parties, and we'll reflect them. So if let's say we had issued a effective commitment date, and now, hey, 3-4 weeks later, we're now ready to close, we're gonna do a date down. And if there's a new deed of trust, if there's a new deed, those are all matters that we need now, new requirements on that commitment and new items that we need cleared prior to us insuring. So, because what's gonna happen is our effective policy date is not going to be your effective commitment date. So there's this gap where we haven't searched public records, we haven't checked. So what that date down done is it's gonna clear that gap to the time that our policy is issued, to make sure that they're getting a free clear title and that there's no matters of record that we need resolved prior to us issuing the policy.
It's kind of like lenders. Lenders, you know, they even after you sign loan docs, the day of closing, oftentimes they'll call the employer and say, is this person still working there?
Yeah.
And I've seen where deals blow up because they're
Yeah,
not.
absolutely.
It's an industry standard, I mean, everybody does it, right? So, yeah.
It's almost like having gap insurance on your car.
Yeah, well, so we do,
Right?
we actually, so we do
Right,
have,
yeah.
so there's a gap, so we have, actually in your commitment, exception number 1 is, it's called our gap in, exception, saying that we are excluding from coverage any items that are gonna show up from time that this commitment was issued to the time that we're gonna issue the policy.
There's a
Yeah,
lot to
so,
it.
yeah.
There's a lot to
Well, we've run along.
Yeah, I'm
So,
sorry.
I just want to thank all of you.
Yes,
Awesome.
Thank you, Matt. So lucky to have him as our title officer.
Yeah.
And you got our awesome escrow officers.
Can you use a advisor, car advisor?
Let's-